All right, but we're going to move into our topics for the week. We have all trade talk this week. The Suns, the Grizzlies, and Karl-Anthony Towns. We're going to jump into the first one. Phoenix Suns general manager Ryan McDonough says he is open to relinquishing his prized place in the NBA's draft catbird seat for the right return. What the hell is this article, ESPN? In an interview on ESPN's 2 NBA Draft Combine special on Friday, the Suns said the Suns haven't ruled out the option of dealing away the number 1 pick in June's draft for a lower pick or even a worthy veteran. We're certainly open to that. We'll consider it. Obviously, we'll have more information closer to the draft than we do today after we go through the workout process and the interview process, and we get the medical physicals, so we're open to that. So, throwing it out there, Ryan McDonough is open to trading the number 1 overall pick. And Ricky, when you first threw this out there, you first mentioned this before we were recording, I just had the immediate reaction of, oh no. Like, I think this would be the worst scenario for the Phoenix Suns. I think this is a terrible idea. Again, maybe the fact that he's considering it, that's fine. You should be a GM doing your due diligence. But I think you should not be trading this pick if you are the Phoenix Suns. Are you guys in the same boat? We'll go to Ricky first. Are you in the same boat as me that this could be a potential disaster for Phoenix?
No, I am on the complete other side of the fence. And the reason why is I'm going to continue the quote that you just read where he goes on to say, I think if you look around the NBA, as far as veteran players, there are now probably a few players we'd consider trading the pick for, not just pick for player number 1, so it'll be a busy month for us. That's what I think the Suns are going to do. The Suns have young talent. The Suns are only trading this pick if they get a veteran a la Kawhi Leonard. Not saying he's the one, but that's what I'm saying. They would need a veteran that is worth the number 1 pick.
But in my eye, and maybe this goes back to Igor. I'm not even going to try his last name because apparently I can't get it right no matter what. Igor Koshkavo. There he goes. The only time we have that. But Igor threw out that he really believes in Devin Booker's playmaking abilities, Dave. And Devin Booker last year had a career high in assist numbers. I think he averaged near 5 assists per game. I think maybe it was 4.7 assists per game. But boiling that down, I mean, he thinks that Devin Booker can be a playmaker, so maybe D-Book ends up playing the 1. Then they move Josh Jackson to the 2, and then you bring in a guy like Kawhi to play the 3. And then obviously we know Dragon Bender had a nice end of the season. You still have Marquise Chris. I just think you need to add on to this youthful movement. Just keep this team young and let them grow and develop under a new head coach instead of bringing in a veteran that's going to speed that process up. I mean, Ricky's again saying it couldn't hurt because you already have young talent, but I think you just need to embrace that young talent, especially after you had the number 1 pick and your team looked terrible last year.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on this one, Sean. I think that adding... Oh, really, Ricky? You gave a little nod.
I gave no shocker there.
The We Agree podcast agrees again. I'm sorry. The fact is, adding a veteran speeds up the timeline. Adding a veteran means that this team's going to have to try to compete. And yes, you are trying to keep Devin Booker happy. That's the only reason I could see them go this route, is to make sure that Devin Booker is going to resign with them long term. Because if he loses for 4 straight years, why would he want to take that deal? Money being on the table, I get it. But I could see him being upset at being a losing franchise continually year after year, even while being an excellent young player. I think that if you go for the youth, you take what is touted to be the number 1 pick in this draft with Ayton, you lock down that 5, and you be happy that you have money and you have young talent, and everything is rolling up the right way for you.
Well, and we throw this out there, we're going to throw this out there on the cat topic, is that, while Karl-Anthony Towns might be upset, or Devin Booker might be upset with the current way the franchise is going.
Different reasons, but yes.
Again, I know, but I'm just saying, if just 2 young stars that are upset with their organizations, saying Devin Booker, again, would be upset for losing for 4 straight seasons. We're not saying he is, but if he does become that way, Phoenix still has the ability to control where he goes. He's still an RFA. They'll still be able to match any offer and match any money that's thrown at Devin Booker. So it's really not unlikely that Devin Booker will be leaving unless he decides just not to play if he is signed under contract for Phoenix. So again, I just look at this and saying you can't speed up that process. You can't really alter the way things are going. Dave, I'm going to go back to you because you mentioned a little bit of money. Yeah. One thing that has been brought up in our comments sections, and we'll talk about this is the Suns. Clint Capella is going to be up for a contract this year, and Houston doesn't have a lot of cap room. something that's been thrown out there, because these Suns do have the number 1 overall pick and they'll have some flexibility. What if you throw money at Clint Capella? He's your 5. You put Dragan Bender at your 4, because again, he could be that stretch 4.
Yep.
At that 3, you draft a guy in, Luka Doncic. Again, he has that connection with Igor. Then at the 2, you have Josh Jackson. At the 1, you have Devin Booker, if you believe in his playmaking ability. And then again, Doncic can even take over that at points of the game as well. I think that is more of a solid proof plan, especially with Clint Capella's age, than going out and getting a guy in Kawhi Leonard who has said that he's upset in the current situation he's in. That situation is a 3rd seed consistently in the Western Conference with no stars. So why would he go to Phoenix, which is right now a worse franchise than
By
San
far.
Antonio? I don't think anyone's disagreeing that. With less stars, with a worse coach so
Dev
far.
Book and LaMarcus Aldridge about on the same level as far as stardom, I would say.
Okay, but I mean, one's an NBA veteran and one's
And
Devin Booker,
who balled out.
who's still very young.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think it's too bad to say that LaMarcus Aldridge has proven more than
He had his
Devin
best
Booker
year.
so far.
I mean, yeah.
Again, I'm just saying though, what the whole thing has been is that Kawhi Leonard wants to go to a big market with stars.
Yeah, Phoenix is neither of those.
This is not that. So I mean, I don't understand what star you could bring on and help this team.
Yeah, no, I mean, you would have to pay a pretty price to get someone of value there. And I don't know any team shopping players of that quality worth the number 1 overall pick, to be honest. So I like what you tossed out there with the Clint Capella thing. My fear for him is I would not give him a max contract. He's a great role player. He's a great rim runner, but he's also someone who does not deserve a max contract in my mind. Could he get it this year? Probably. I mean, there's a chance. There's a chance, but in all honesty, that's not someone I would max out of the contract while I'm looking at my team going, all right, if I'm going to pay for Booker and I want to make a splash in the 2019 free agency class, which is going to be loaded, I want to make sure that I have options available to me going forward.
Here's what I'm thinking, and I'm keying in on a specific phrase that McDonough said. He said, it's going to be a busy summer for us. What if trading the number 1 pick isn't the first move they do?
But he said busy month.
Well, busy month. What if it's not the first move they do? What if it's not the only move they do? What if I've got 2 trades in my head that I just kind of figured out?
Well, and we do want to throw out they still have the pick after lottery as well.
Yes, they do. But the first one I'm thinking of is Atlanta sits at 3. What if you did, you know what, you could take Luka, and I do agree with Dave, if I'm sitting there with the pick, I would take Luka if I'm the Suns. Or you can sit there and go, hey, what if we try to work a trade with Atlanta? We can get the 3, Devin Schroeder, and more picks later on.
Dennis
Schroeder, sorry about that. Get the 3 Schroeder, more picks later on to draft more players. The thing is, they only have 2 players coming off of contracts this year. They got Alfred Payton, who's still an RFA, and then they got Alex Len. That's their only free agents this year. Or, and this is me being tinfoil hat Ricky, what Dave likes, what if they do other moves to move TJ Warren, move Tyson Chandler, they trade the number 1 pick for Kawhi Leonard, and then can say, you know what, I know we're not a major market, but we're going all in for a PG-13 LeBron James.
That's so stupid. Not saying your idea is stupid.
I'm just saying tinfoil.
No, I know. I'm not saying your idea is stupid. I'm just saying that would be so stupid of the Phoenix Suns to do. Again, you're examining all options. But if Ryan McDonough did that, I just gave him credit, I think, about a month ago. If he was to do that, to go so blindly to say, hey, we're going to go bring in a big star in LeBron James, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, it would be absolutely blind because Phoenix does not have that ability. Phoenix does not have that ability to bring in a large free agent like that and then be able to say, hey, we're going to go get a Kawhi Leonard and we're going to make things work and turn this franchise around from being the worst franchise this year to becoming, again, a team that now has NBA championship expectations with a brand new head coach and a coach that is, again, his first coaching job in the NBA. That sounds a lot like David Blatt to me, where you're going to put this guy into a ton of different, again, this is Igor Koskovo coming into a new situation of being an NBA head coach and then being forced with a ton of stars on him and having the expectations of being an NBA champion, where before, when he was just hired, it's a young team, we have a number 1 overall draft pick. You're screwing over your brand new head coach if you're doing that.
Here's the thing that I look at, though.
Just real quick, though. New York sometimes isn't even able to get meetings with LeBron James for free agency. Why would Phoenix be able to be like, hey, LeBron, come over to Phoenix?
Well, the thing
Charles Barkley trashes us consistently on NBA TV or TNT.
Well, the thing with that is, first, Charles, I think there's a soft spot there because he secretly loves Phoenix.
Well,
by
no,
playing
he
there.
loves the fans,
Yes.
but he's been trashing the organization
I
before,
know,
like
but-
the stale popcorn rant, which is fantastic.
But with New York, let's be honest, the management's different. Like James Dolan is in New York, he's not in Phoenix. Like Phoenix doesn't have a James Dolan to worry about. The thing with the Suns and the reason why, and I'm not saying LeBron James is going to come there. I think like if they're going for veterans and want to go the furthest on that LeBron James kind of rant or route would be getting a Kawhi, getting a PG-13, and then maybe someone else. Like they're not going to get a LeBron. The thing that I look at though is I like what he said about veteran players because they've gone through the draft so many times. When is it eventually going to turn to where this team hasn't finished above 9th in the conference since they finished 3rd
But you do
in
that
2010?
naturally. You do that through a rebuild. And I'm going to throw this out there. Yes, James Dolan publicly is a nightmare, but also you look at ESPN's rankings, I think of 2016, of every single sports franchise in the United States. 120th out of 122, the Phoenix Suns were ranked. They are not seen as a hotspot destination for free agents. They are not seen as a budding franchise on the outside. You look at all the metrics. Robert Sarver, their owner, is ranked the worst in the
And I'm
NBA.
saying the
they do not
reason
have
why-
they do not have positive metrics, and the whole reason for that is just because they're not able to put the money in. They're not able to at least put the right resources in. Now they're finally doing that. You get a young kid in Ryan McDonough to be your GM. Now you finally get the right coach, what you think at least, in Igor. This is the way you build this up. You have a young superstar in Devin Booker. You have the number 1 overall pick to pair a guy like Luka or DeAndre Ayton with Devin Booker. This is the right way to rebuild a franchise. Getting rid of all that is not the right way to rebuild
I'm
a
not
franchise.
saying they're getting
that is
rid
just
of all of
blind.
it.
Well, that's pretty much the Adam Silver argument. That's the whole thing is he wants franchises to build through the draft, not tanking, because he'll never say that.
Like the Golden
But
State Warriors.
He wants them to build through the draft. He incentivizes players to stay with their original team with these supermax contracts that they made up this past year. He wants this to be the new norm in the NBA because, let's be honest, in free agency, you're right. Phoenix is not a sexy location. It's not somewhere where you're like, yeah, I want to go play in Phoenix, because the culture there, because of the nightlife. Like, there's nothing amazing about Phoenix. No offense, Phoenix
Well,
people.
I don't think the Phoenix, the city, isn't bad.
No,
and
but
also
it's not
the fans
comparable.
have embraced it. But like,
It's
again,
not
it's not
LA is what you're saying.
It's not LA. It's
but-
not New York.
but
It's
again,
not
it's-
even Chicago. It's not Miami. Like,
But
I can
I
go
would
down
say-
a laundry
I would
list.
say at least
Chicago's number 1, no bias.
I would say
You're wrong.
complete bias. I would say at least looking at the smaller markets though. I mean, outside of the LA, New York, all those.
I mean-
I'd say Phoenix is one of at least city wise, at least one of the nicer cities
not a bad
out
city,
there.
but
like, no offense
as
to
far
Memphis,
as-
but it's better than Memphis.
Yeah,
No
no
offense
one's
to
gonna argue that one.
Miami. Maybe
Skip
Miami.
GTFO on that one.
I don't know. I'm not a Miami guy though.
Taxes in Florida, non-existent, so you got
true.
that going for you. And also the
According-
nightlife is incredible.
According to Nielsen, and this is TV broadcast, Phoenix is 12th when it comes to markets.
So I mean, look, it's not the sexy pick. Let's just be honest. So I agree in the fact that this is a team that needs to build through the draft. You need to build through controlled contracts and going on the hopes of if we land, because you got to remember the order. It's draft first. So you can say we're going to make a trade draft night and try to get a Kawhi or something like that. And then you have to pray to God that free agency falls in your favor. Like, look, we just went out and got him. Now you want to come here, play with him, play with Devin Booker.
Well, and that's why-
But also, it's a huge
The thing-
gamble.
Real quick. Also, it's a huge gamble for Kawhi too, because Kawhi, you're still going to need to re-sign Kawhi. You're still
Yeah,
going to need to bring him
exactly.
back.
I'm not-
so then you're
I'm
going to
not
have to sell on.
thinking Kawhi.
You're going to have to sell on Kawhi. I'm
Well,
just throwing
who
this
else
out
would
there
you
because this is
trade
what
for?
Dave said.
I'm going back to
Stop.
my first
This is
trade.
what I'm saying though. Just with Kawhi though, you have to not only sell Kawhi, you also have to sell another free agent.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
why I think that Kawhi thing. Yes, we've talked about Kawhi ad nauseum in trade rumors, but again, this is a guy that wants to be in a big city with stars. Phoenix right now cannot offer that unless they have go out and get a guy like PG-13 and LeBron James. That's just a lot to do and a lot to accomplish. I think we need to throw the Kawhi thing out the window. And again, this is just something he mentioned. Maybe it's just due diligence, but I think it'd be the wrong move. But what are you going to bring up?
And that's why I go back to my Atlanta Hawks one, because
I don't know about
taking
that.
what Dennis Schroeder wants, throw it out the window. The Hawks don't care about that. Hawks are going to get whatever's the best for them. And if you're the Hawks, you can sit there. All right, we can swap 1 and 3 and get a choice of, do we want to go Ayton? Do we want to go Luka? And if they give up Dennis Schroeder, then obviously I would feel like they would go Luka instead of DeAndre Ayton. But they could go Ayton over Luka even if they get rid of Schroeder. Then if you're the Suns, okay, we get Schroeder. We can throw money at Clint Capella. These are still younger players that we can build our team around and infuse it with some veteran, not leadership, but maybe just some veteran players to help this team boost the timeline a little bit. Because if I was sitting there as a Phoenix fan and I'm sitting 10th overall, 10th, 15, 9th, 10th, 14, 15, 15, it's like, holy crap, 8 years of just shit here.
No, and I agree. It's been a bad situation for Phoenix fans since D'Antoni, since Nash, since Amari left.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with that. But I'm just saying, a player like Dennis Schroeder, and let's start that. Schroeder right now, he's going to be 25 when the season starts. He's 24 right now, birthday in September 15th. Also, it's Clint Capella's birthday. Happy birthday, Clint Capella, 24 years old.
Big fan of the show.
At least, huge fan of the show. But again, you're bringing two young players onto the team. I understand Dennis Schroeder, has been in the league for a while. Clint Capella been in the league for a while. At least you're matching that up with Devin Booker. But you're going to have to, again, maybe possibly max out Clint Capella, at least bid more than Houston can so they can get rid of that tender. So you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to offer a lot of money to Clint Capella, who, again, who's probably going to be making the most money on your team as a 5, who, again, has been a nice piece next to Chris Paul, next to James Harden, some of the best passers in the league, and he's still only putting up 13.5 points per game.
And you're watching him
grabbing
run
about
off
10
the floor
boards
during these playoffs.
Exactly. So you're offering a lot of money to a guy that isn't helped by, again, a natural, like a great playmaker like Chris Paul or James Harden. And Dennis Schroeder, I don't know how well that's going to work against, Devin Booker. And, Dennis Schroeder isn't that great of a playmaker. He's a good playmaker, but he's not a great playmaker. He's not on the levels of a Chris Paul or James Harden. He's like middle of the pack when it comes to point guards in this league to being a facilitator. And maybe even Devin Booker has the ability to surpass Dennis Schroeder. So again, Schroeder, while he's young, I don't really think he fits this team. I think just go and draft young. Take somebody like Luka or DeAndre Ayton, whoever you think is the best fit for your team at that number 1 overall position, and then go at that 16th pick and fill out the rest of your team at the 4 and 5, maybe a Mitchell Robinson, maybe a Jonte Porter, and just fill this team out with young players. That needs to be the move for Phoenix. There is no other move in my mind. Again, I think McDonough's saying this just to be more of a politician, but if he's truly thinking about trading the number 1 overall pick for a Kawhi Leonard, for a Dennis Schroeder, for hell, a Carmelo Anthony, I don't know, just throwing it out there. I know no one would trade the number 1 overall pick for that, but just throwing names out there.
Ooh, I got one for
any
you.
name out there would be ridiculous. Throw another one.
I say Andre Drummond. I know not straight up, because the Pistons are a team that is tossing stuff around.
But they don't even have their 12th pick.
I know.
In LA.
Future picks.
You could get Drummond plus Drummond plus Reggie. You go 1-5 from them, just straight up.
Oh, why do you hate Phoenix? Why do you want to give him Reggie Jackson, a guy who can't pass, to this Phoenix Suns team? You're going to limit all ball movement. Igor's offense is about ball movement. Reggie Jackson's putting a nail in the coffin right there with that. No.
I just want to see your reaction to toss.
Here's a serious one that I'm thinking. So go back to the Hawks, but take Schroeder out of it. What if it's just a
1-3 swap? What?
No, not just 1-3. We're going to get the 3. I want one of your later picks, and I want to pick next year if I'm the Suns. That way, it's like, think about it. Then it's like, you know what? Fuck it. We don't know who we want over Ayton or Doncic. You have that problem. If I want a center, screw it. I'll take Bamba at 3 if I really want to, but especially if everything out of the combine and he elevates himself to be the best big in the draft like I think he'll be 5 years down the line. That's a trade they can make too, taking the veterans out of it. A 3-1 swap with Atlanta, get future picks from the Hawks.
So you're saying build to the draft?
Well, yeah.
Well,
if they're not going to go veteran
that
players.
I don't hate. That I don't hate. But again,
because they have,
McDonough mentioned about trading for a veteran. So that's where I would take that out. But
if I'm saying if we're going to go your route and trade for the draft.
I don't hate that pick.
Yeah.
Again, you're moving down 2 slots. And we've
getting
consistently
potential value back.
Yeah, again, you're getting more players, and then maybe you could even pair that late Atlanta pick, your 16th pick, and move back up and get maybe you get a Colin Sexton at 10, and then you get a Bamba or a Jaren Jackson at 3. I don't hate that.
And Atlanta may want to do that too because it's like, you know what, yeah, we'll give away ours, although we probably won't compete because they'll still have Cleveland's. Or you take Cleveland's, banking on LeBron leaving, Cleveland becomes a top 5 pick.
But what I want to throw out there is and I like the original trade. Don't keep adding on to it. It's just
no, I'm talking about the 2019 that you would get, the future. You could either take theirs or Cleveland's that Atlanta will hold next year.
But what I'm just trying to see is why not just take your guy at 1? And we saw this last year with Philadelphia and Boston. Danny Ainge had a clear direction. He was going to swindle Philadelphia because they knew they were taking Jason Tatum. There was no way Jason Tatum was going number 1 overall.
Yeah.
So they knew that they were going to be able to get their guy at 3. So maybe they have their guy that they can get at 3. But again, for Phoenix, we talk about the long history where things have not panned out for them since D'Antoni, since Nash, since Amari left. Why just not get your guy at 1 and risk the possibility? Because again, you look at Boston. Boston had so much ammo to move to get there to possibly take a risk and get move down, get an extra draft pick, which now turned into the 10th pick, and Jason Tatum. If they missed out on Tatum goes 2 to Boston. Then you get Lonzo Ball, and possibly you can move him again. Boston had the ammo and the at least the leash to make that move because again, it's not going to look too bad since you have so many options to pick from, where you can also then you get rid of the Brooklyn pick to get Kyrie Irving. I just don't see why Phoenix would need to do that because you already have the number 1 pick. Just get your guy.
Yeah,
just get your guy. Don't
unless
miss
they don't
out.
believe in either one of these guys.
And that's what I was going to bring in.
That's the only thing I can think of why this would come up because, like you said, the veteran route, we talked through it. There's not a great fit value-wise for them and timeline-wise for them.
Unless you're going to trade for Russ, but I don't even want him on my team.
Let's not even go down that dark tunnel. And as far
going
as
right past that rabbit hole.
Yep. And as far as trading back potentially for additional picks, not the worst thing in the world, but at the same time, I don't know that the shotgun approach is really the best way to go about this. I think that they need to land a number 1 guaranteed star, and that you land that at the 1 usually. That's the likely hope. So if you can't figure that point out, I'm concerned because you have the guy who coached in the same league as Luka. You have the guy
even coached him in the national.
Yeah, there you go. So all the info about him. You're seeing everything about DeAndre Ayton right now. And I'm concerned if both of those guys, if one of those doesn't do it for you, I'm concerned now.
Well, McDonough, again, he did throw out saying we'll have more information close to the draft after we go through the workout process and interview process and medical physicals. So, again, he's going to at least go through this option. Again, this isn't the for sure option that they're going to do. And maybe they'll get a clearer vision now. Again, I think one thing that is playing into this, you look at their owner, Sarver, former U of A alum. Obviously, we know the connection Ayton has to Arizona, playing 2 years of high school there, and then obviously being an Arizona Wildcat, being a center, has that connection to Phoenix. But how much does that really matter anymore? This isn't like a regional draft like it used to be back in the '60s. It's something where, again, I think Ayton fits at least this team at the 5. And he also has that connection to Arizona. And then Luka obviously has the connection to the coach, and he'll fit that 3 position that they have as well. Being able to slide Jackson to the 2, have Booker play the 1. They have players that fit, and I feel like they're going to come to a clear consensus on who they like better if they haven't already in Ayton or Doncic. McDonough even stated earlier that Ayton was their guy at 1 if they were going to pick him. I think that was a couple months ago. So, I think they'll form a clear consensus, and I think that consensus should just be hold on to the pick, draft the number 1 player, because you just need to hit finally.
Yes.
The one I want to throw out there, because we're closing in on time, we're talking about it a little bit later, but I do want to throw him out there. Dave, I mentioned this before. Number 1 overall pick for Karl-Anthony Towns. Would you do it?
Yeah, that is in a bind. I feel like
because you're gonna have to offer him a contract.
You're talking straight up.
Yeah.
Straight up.
No.
I don't think I'd do it. I think the contract control. I've been talked into. Let's play the process out. I hate using that word for other teams, but play it out and go with contract control. That's king here. You get 4 guaranteed years plus RFA years. You take that chunk of control over a player's basically into their prime. I would take that, and you hope that you develop DeAndre Ayton into something that's equal value to Cat.
I'll throw this out there then. Let's do Cat and the 20th pick for the number 1 overall pick. Because Minnesota does have Oklahoma.
The 20 doesn't do it. I mean, if they toss a future one, maybe, but like,
isn't that crazy to say a former, like, isn't just weird to think 2015 Cat was number one pick overall. We're saying DeAndre Ayton can turn into Cat, yet we're not sure if we do it just because of the contract. It's just crazy to think.
Well, and the two things, the one trade I'm just going to say that's my prediction is what I'll say is, but the thing I was going to say is, isn't it funny? It's like, I know I have my questions about Luka, and some people do just because he's coming from overseas. You in our bust video, Sean, on the Primetime Podcast, said that you think DeAndre Ayton will be bustable in this NBA draft. Well, not for sure going to be a bust, but he has potential. Like the bust
every
potential.
Player does.
That to me is why, if I am the Phoenix Suns, you know what? I'm not taking either of these chances at number one. When I can, the trade I'm working for, and this is my prediction, they will make a trade with the Hawks. They will get the 3. They will get a future pick later in the draft, and they will get Cleveland's 2019 pick. Because, yes, it's top 10 protected next year, but with my thinking that LeBron will leave, Cleveland ain't going to be doing any better. So I'll get that pick in 2020, and I'll just stash that one, kind of like Danny Ainge did. Then at 3, I can then have the debate, do I go a Jaren Jackson, Bagley, Bamba, or a Trae Young? That is a more safer discussion for me than a Ayton Doncic, who we don't really know exactly if they're going to be for sure locks at number 1. They can, but they can't.
One thing I do want to throw out there, too, with that Cat trade is him and Booker best friends. So you also do have the connection of Kentucky. Former Kentucky players used to play on that old team.
Do they play Fortnite together?
2014. They play Fortnite together. So I just want to throw that out there, that Karl-Anthony Towns, Devin Booker. Make Devin Booker happy. Make Karl-Anthony Towns happy because he's playing with his buddy.
I'm surprised we didn't get a single Kemba Walker toss in this episode.
No. Dave, do you think the Phoenix Suns will trade the number 1?
I pray they don't. I pray they don't do it. It's not, no.
I will say this. If the Phoenix Suns trade the number 1 overall pick and do not get a Karl-Anthony Towns player, or do not, if they do your trade where they're trading back to 3, if they're going out and getting Kawhi Leonard, or if they're going out and making a mistake getting a veteran player, they will become enemy number 1 on the podcast, overseeding the Orlando Magic.
Wow. Really?
Somehow. Huh. Yeah. It'd be so stupid. It'd be so
then you'll never want to say their
dumb.
coach's name right again. You won't care.
It'd be so dumb. And I had high praise for Ryan McDonough. If he does this, I think it'd be a stupid and catastrophic mistake. Okay. I hope Phoenix does not do that, because Phoenix Suns fans have been so nice to us. And also, I mean, this is a team where I look at the potential. You know, I love Devin Booker. You know, I love T.J. Warren. I love T.J. Warren. Josh Jackson was a guy I was really high on coming out of this draft. I think this team has potential. Take the number 1 overall pick.
Build right.
Draft your guy. Build right. And I think Igor was the right hire as well. I think there's so many positives already on this Phoenix team. You'd be getting rid of all the progress by just, trading the number 1 overall pick for a guy like Kawhi Leonard, a guy that's not for sure going to be staying on your team. But let us know what you think about the Phoenix Suns possibly trading the number 1 overall pick. Do you think it's just McDonough playing politician? Let us know in the comments down below.